Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 204 of Let's Go Racing. Tyler Jones, Dominic Aragon, and Matt Kemp here with you as we are going to be joined by Norm Benning as he makes his return to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series this week at Talladega. We'll talk about all of that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. We'll go over the top headlines in the sport, get to our mailbag as well in just a matter of moments. But before we do, guys, let's talk about the weekend that was in Las Vegas. Denny Hamlin gets it done, and he clinches a spot in the championship four. Dominic, it has been a heck of a season for Denny Hamlin. He's running as good as ever, and now he will get at least one more shot to get that monkey off his back and bring home his first career NASCAR Cup Series title. And I would say this too, Dom. Not only did he get that win, but winning early in the round, now they can put their complete focus on Phoenix for the next few weeks to put their best foot forward. It's a really good spot for that 11 team to be in.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like a would you compare it, Tyler, to like a bye week in the divisional round of the NFL playoffs? It's essentially that you've got a little bit more time compared to your counterparts to rest up a little bit, but you know that team's not resting. There's a different hungry Denny Hamlin that we have never seen before, Tyler. There's a different drive. He's lost so many of these, so he knows how to lose them. He knows Murphy's Law can apply to a lot of these situations. That's got to be leaning on the experience from a taped up car in 2019 to a bad pit stop in 21. All of these things are going to be worked out. That communication and Chris Gale, first year crew chief, pairing with Hamlin, you can tell the chemistry's there, the emotion. I would even say that there was a story arc and a character arc with the victory because we didn't hear boos. And a lot of the fans in the grandstands didn't even know that Denny Hamlin was crying until after he'd climbed from the car, Tyler. So a very, very telling change of events. It seems like there's a lot of people in Denny Hamlin's corner now to win this championship.
Matt, with that said, people coming around on Denny, Denny being nicer to the fans when he was celebrating, locking up that spot. Dominic mentions kind of the arc of things. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but does this have Team of Destiny vibes to it? Does this feel like this is how this story is supposed to end? That Denny Hamlin brings home that championship. He's been so close so many times. And with everything that's gone on this year, then the lawsuit with 2311 and front row against NASCAR and all this, does this feel like how this story is supposed to go here, Matt? Or are we looking at Denny being on track to get this done?
Yes, absolutely does. And it actually, I feel like the last, heck, it's got to be 4 or 5, maybe longer races. I feel like Denny Hamlin's kind of been the main character of NASCAR as of late, between the lawsuit going on off the track, between all the different finishes he's been involved in. Obviously, but him and Bubba Wallace a couple weeks back, and when Ross Chastain was trying to make the next round, obviously Denny was the one he had to take out to try to get there. So no matter what the storyline, Denny Hamlin's right on the forefront every single week. So I feel like he's the main character of the sport right now. It's been kind of the theme lately. So it does seem to be lining that way, doesn't it?
It feels that way. Let's talk about the updated playoff picture now, Dom. Denny advances. Kyle Larson, 35 points above. Christopher Bell, 20 above. And Chase Briscoe, 15 above. And not only do those guys have a little bit of cushion with a couple more races to go in this round, Dom, but I would say with these next two tracks coming up, Talladega and Martinsville, those three drivers are certainly capable at getting a win and locking up a spot in that championship four at either one of these tracks coming up.
Can't rule any of them out. They've made the round of eight for a reason. And any of these eight drivers, of course, anyone can win on any given Sunday. We all know this. But these elite eight are here for a reason. And stage points are going to be a hot commodity at Talladega. And look what happened with William Byron and Ryan Blaney sitting on the outside looking in with freak accidents with both of them. And of course, the Byron one being a little more bizarre. But you're now on the outside looking in. Anything can happen at Talladega. To roll the dice. And then Martinsville, gosh, you know the Team Penske cars are good there. So it's going to be a very fascinating fall over the next 2 weeks, especially this weekend at Talladega, as to how much that grid could be shaken up.
Matt, the four drivers on the outside looking in now. William Byron, 15 back. Chase Elliott, 23 back. Joey Logano, 24 back. And Ryan Blaney, 31 points back. All four of those guys are capable of winning these next two tracks, and you might even favor somebody like Byron or Blaney potentially here at Talladega this weekend. Who do you feel like has the best shot to get out of the bottom four and advance their way to Phoenix for a shot to win the title right now, Matt?
Ironically, I really feel like the bottom two have the best chance because Penske's best places are the super speedways and the short tracks, the flat short tracks. So between Martinsville and Talladega, I think they weren't too worried after Vegas. Plus, Ryan Blaney, I think the last 2 years has wrecked out of Vegas or had something happen at Vegas and then gone on to win Martinsville. So he's on track again this year to do the same. So we might just be looking at another Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano dominating performance down the year.
This
Who
is
knows?
Is it Penske time? We'll have to
It,
wait and see.
it might be. I think they've got the best chance, but who knows, man? They're all really good. So we'll see.
Yeah, setting up to be a fun uh, final few weeks here to determine the NASCAR Cup Series champion. Dom, our guest this week, Norm Benning. He's been on the show before, and he's got quite the story. He's back on track this weekend at Talladega. I know he's excited about that. Give us the rundown about our old friend Norm Benning here.
Whenever we need a super speedway expert, a super speedway ace, or somebody who's really good under the hood in general and just all around a racer's racer, you look no further than Norm Benning. Again, that throwback driver who raced against Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, and Jimmy Johnson, and is racing against the future stars in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It's a good hybrid of the past, the present, and the future. And anytime we have a super speedway race and Norm's on that entry list, we love to have Norm and his take ahead of the race weekend. So, Norm, we know you're on the road. We know you're traveling down to Talladega at the time of this taping. We appreciate you taking the time to join us here this week on Let's Go Racing.
Yeah, glad to be on again. As you said, I had a really good run there at Daytona, and I think the truck's even better now. So we'll see what happens at Talladega.
And we have Norm back, guys, because we know people listen in. People, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify or Apple. Norm, you were telling us kind of an update here from the February show. The show got published ahead of the Daytona race a few days out, and you were getting phone calls for sponsorship based on the show. So really cool to see that fans and potential sponsors are listening on to.
Yeah, you can't do this without major sponsors. I seem to keep trying to do it, and it's hard to do, but they said we have really good equipment for Daytona and Talladega, and going to take advantage of that. I'm hoping that we get somebody on the hood and the quarter panels.
So that truck right now, at the time of this taping here early this week, what space is available if anyone's listening or anybody wants to join along with the program? Yeah, how's it all looking right now?
Yeah, I mean, the major areas are available. The hood and the tailgate, quarter panels. I mean, I've got some associate sponsorship, but not enough to make a difference. I have MDIA on there and AZL, but they're associate sponsorships. They're nothing major.
Either way, a little bit goes a long way, and actually these races are some of the most viewed throughout the year. So no matter who it is, it's going to be a great opportunity to be a part of it with you guys for sure.
Yeah, I know. In February, they interviewed me after the race, and all. It's kind of a shame that again we didn't have a major sponsor, and I got a huge exposure in practice, qualifying, and the race. And really didn't have anybody to thank any consequence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we need to change that for Talladega. What do you think, Dom?
I think so. I think it's a really good shot too. That you're in the field, right? So we were talking before we came on air. The entry list for the race. There's 36 trucks entered at Talladega. No one's going home. So there's already an opportunity. There's a truck that's locked in, and then on top of it, Norm, you've shared with us before, but I think it's always worth revisiting. Share with us a little bit about the race truck that you're going to be driving this weekend at Talladega and the story behind it.
Yeah, it's Don Henderson, number 75 truck. First year I drove it Daytona there. I think I finished 12th with it. Then I decided to buy the truck. Second race, and now it's the third race. It's just it's a great truck. It loves leading the draft and qualifies well. It's just roll the dice. So you can't be in the middle of those packs. You either got to lead them or be behind them, and make sure you finish first. You must first finish. So I kind of live by that.
Love it. So, of course, without revealing the full playbook this weekend, knowing you're locked into the race, of course, the goal is to get a good qualifying lap. But if a perfect race plays out how you want it to play out, how are you approaching the beginning couple of stages, stage 3? What can you tell us about your game plan and your strategy for that?
Well, again, that'll be dictated by how I qualify. If I qualify top 15, I may try to take a shot, lead the race. But I can't make that decision until after we qualify. But we qualified at 20th or 21st or something in Daytona, so not out of the realm of possibility. I think the truck's better than it was at Daytona. So, but if I'm up near the front, I'm going to have some fun trying to lead one of the segments.
I think we want to see that.
Oh,
I hope you qualify good.
That's
Go out
6
and
car
go out and
front.
lead some laps. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's an amazing truck. It drafts really well, sucks up good, drives great. It handled the same at the beginning of Daytona as it did at the end, and we changed tires once. That was it.
I'm really curious, Norm, when you guys are preparing for these races, somewhere like Talladega versus Daytona, is there a big difference in the way you prepare for those two races, or is it pretty well the same or similar?
But yeah, it's the same, but Daytona is not as much of a handling track. You don't need to worry as much about handling. And you can go 5 wide at Talladega, so your chances of getting blocked are a lot less. Daytona, I think if you go 3 wide, it's track's blocked, and that's kind of what was happening to me at Daytona. They went 3 wide, and none of the lines were moving, so I was just kind of stuck there. Talladega, you can make your own lane pretty much. You go 5 wide.
It's going to be very fascinating to watch throughout the race. And Norm, you can give us a little bit of insight here. I feel like I've heard over the years, whether it be on the Dale Jr. download or just comments from drivers at Talladega and Daytona after the fact, that you tend to see drivers work with the drivers that they're around. Like, for example, Jamie McMurray on the Dale Earnhardt Jr. download said a while back that McMurray felt like he earned a lot of the respect of his competitors by being up front, racing up front, pushing, that sort of thing. For you, we know you've done this so many times. You've been in a lot of these races and a part of these fields. Do you feel like early on in the race, for any competitor, not just yourself, but for any competitor, you kind of have to earn that trust of your competitors, and they need to see you up front making moves and playing that high speed chess, if you will?
Oh yeah, you gotta earn your respect early in the race and show them what you have. And it's such a shame. Friesen got hurt because at Daytona we worked really good together in the draft, and I was looking forward to doing that with him again in Talladega, but he's got hurt, so he won't be there.
Yeah. His recovery going with that too. And you don't have to reveal any names at this time, but are there other competitors that you've spoke with beforehand or drivers you're talking with that, yeah, if we are on the track together, we're going to work together? What are those conversations like leading up to Talladega?
Well, you try to make plans, but they never work. It all changes as flag drops. But you eventually get around some people you can trust and try to hang out with them and get in the line and go. That's what I do, and I really don't like being in the middle of a pack because I'm pretty good at missing these wrecks. But a lot of times you get run over, you get shoved into the wreck. So, as I said, I'd like to either lead the draft or be on the tail end of it if I can.
Norm, you've been to Talladega so many times now. What makes this place special to you?
I fly airplanes and I understand the air and um, I have it. I just have, as you said, I've been in the truck series for 19 years, and before that, I ran the ARCA Talladega. Uh, I just love those places where you just make the air work for you, and you don't have to have the best engine. Uh, those places, the bodies have to be pretty good, but you make that draft work for you. It's kind of an amazing thing. It's like a chess match, I guess. But I think I got the best truck I've ever had. I think so. I want to show people what I can do.
And like I said, Norm, you've been doing this quite a bit of time, and I know you have a lot of these races circled, especially Daytona and Talladega. What keeps you personally going and wanting to keep attempting Daytona and Talladega and the partial schedules that you guys do over there? What keeps that fiery competitiveness burning for you?
I've told this story a few times. My best friend's a doctor. I asked him to cure me of this stuff, and he said, "You'll know when it's time." And I'm way overdue, but I just love crawling in the window and being competitive sometimes. And I don't particularly like all the travel preparation or anything else about it. I just love crawling in the window, and I still have that burning desire to compete. So one of these days it'll hit me and I'll quit.
Yeah, Matt, doesn't sound like it's anytime soon, though.
No, I'll be honest with you. We kind of were fortunate to go spend some time together at Michigan earlier this year, and I'll be honest with you. There's a level of competitiveness I see in a lot of people in racing. Norm, you're right up there at the top still with where you're at and your desire to compete and to do well and to win. And I think that's about the coolest thing.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to refer back to Eldora, but I went viral on Twitter and everything. They were telling me I was more famous than the Kardashians for 7 or 8 hours. I guess that's bragging rights. That was a race I didn't want to miss, and Blake Greenfield didn't want to miss it either. But fans really enjoyed it, and I had just good enough truck to get into the show.
Well, not only
So
did that do wonders for you, but I remember I think it was Tony Stewart said that you kind of made the event too, and that move kind of solidified that event as a one of the must-see events of the season. So I still think about that to this day, and I'm sure a lot of people like me, kind of having grown up in kind of this era of the sport. Um, for a lot of us, I think that's probably how we actually first learned about you and about kind of the things that you're doing with how you're doing a lot with a little. So, um, I guess looking back on it, would you say that's one of the bigger moments of your career, probably?
oh yeah, I mean, that was the most anticipated race all year that year in 2013, and I couldn't wait because it starts kind of levels the playing field. It's not as much equipment. You guys mile and a half. It's all about who has the best aero and who has the best engines. And you get on dirt, you got to what's between the seat and the steering wheel that matters. And Tony Stewart purchased that truck off me. I had put it on eBay because everybody wanted it. He called me up and said, "You can't sell that. That's part of history." It's up in his museum up there in Eldora.
Oh, that's awesome.
For
I
everybody
did
to
not
look
know
at.
that.
But he was the first one over the truck after that race. He stuck his head in the window. He said, "Norm, doesn't matter what happens the rest of the night. You just made this whole thing a success." That was pretty cool.
Yeah, when you get the stamp of approval from a three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, an IndyCar champion, NHRA points leader, there's something to be said about that.
And the track owner at the time.
And the track owner too, yes. He wore a bunch of hats.
Yeah,
Norm,
what I used to do every Saturday night. I used to run dirt late models. That's the way we raced.
Norm, what's been some of your favorite memories over the years to go to Talladega, man?
just being there and competing. It's just it's the biggest, fastest track in the series and known worldwide, just like Daytona. And again, like I said, the fact that you can go 5 wide there, if you're fast enough, you can pick your own lane and go. And I love Talladega Boulevard. Love going up there. So just looking forward to it. It's going to be line up and qualify and then go race. No practice, no nothing.
Norm, one of the things we've seen a lot in the Cup Series that has drawn the complaints of fans as in recent memory with both Daytona and Talladega is drivers saving fuel and not going 100% on the gas pedal like we're typically see of running those tracks wide open. In the truck race, is that going to be something that you think we'll see, or is it going to be different compared to what we see in Cup? Are those guys going to hold back a bit, or do you expect everybody to kind of go all out there?
That's why Truck Series is exciting. It's a short race, and I don't think anybody play it. Just everybody's wide open. This is a short race. You got to get track position to the end of the race, and they have 500 miles or 400 miles to get it figured out. We have 200 or 250, so that goes pretty quick.
And the stages go pretty quick at the plate tracks in the Truck Series, especially. I feel like every time I watch the Daytona truck race, it's like, oh, they're green flag. Oh, stage 1's already coming to an end. So I feel like that probably is, contributes to help that as well.
I've heard that they're trying to change that back to the old system. I heard that on TV. Last race, I think it was. They're trying to get rid of that. Go back to the old system. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of changes.
Stage race takes a lot of the.
Yeah.
A lot of the. I mean, you don't have to plan a whole lot because you got a stage break coming, and you change tires and fuel, and there's no strategy until the last segment.
For sure. And I think the stage cautions really is what does it. I wouldn't mind personally. I remember as a kid thinking like, man, it's unfortunate watching your driver dominate the day and then he wrecks out with 10 to go and he got nothing out of the day. So the stage points, it's pretty cool. But yeah, especially for the Truck Series, when the stages are so quick, it's like, man, there was hardly any time to race right there in those 15 laps. So yeah, we'll see what they do. Who knows? I'm wondering, Norm, because I was fortunate to get my first opportunity to be able to drive at Talladega earlier this year and walk the track a little bit beforehand. And I'll tell you what, I've never walked to the top of the banking at a track and genuinely felt scared for my life that I was going to fall. And I'm not scared of heights, but I climbed to the top of the banking and I'm like, holy shit, I think I could die if I fell down this right now. So I couldn't believe, and I've been to Winchester, I've been to now Salem, and it's like nowhere compares to the way the banking feels at Talladega. And I can kind of remember my first time driving off into turn 3. So I am wondering, kind of while I'm on the subject here, of what your thoughts were, if you remember your first time at Talladega and what you thought of the place right off the bat, if it was intimidating to you or if you were just ready to hammer down and go and get it.
Well, my first time was Daytona, and I actually had a friend. He lived in Pittsburgh, Tommy Gill. He raced NASCAR for a lot of years, and he was down there kind of coaching me at Daytona my first time. And he said, back then we could practice for 2 days when I started, but he said, whatever you do today, we don't want to see you running wide open. And I went out there, my third lap, I ran wide open, 187 mile an hour. He was so mad at me. I had 10 degrees of spoiler. It was that Aero Coupe, Monte Carlo. I said, Tommy, I didn't see any reason to lift. He said, you don't run wide open your first day. Well, my third lap, I did it. It felt good. I said, I didn't see any reason to lift. It wasn't doing anything wrong. So, but that kind of shocked him. My dad was there, and they couldn't believe I did 187 mile an hour in third lap.
Yeah.
That might be a good title of a book for you, Norm. I didn't see any reason to lift. I love that. That's one of my favorite quotes I've heard in racing.
Yeah, I mean, you don't lift until it does something wrong, right?
That's for sure. I didn't see any reason. I love it.
I didn't see any reason to lift. I love it. One of my favorite stories about that too. I don't know if Norm or Matt this applies to you, but Dale Jr. had shared on his show a while back the first time he had tested a car at Talladega, maybe like late '90s, and he's picking up speed down the backstretch, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's approaching turn 3, and he's wondering as it's getting closer in his windshield, how the heck am I going to be able to stay here in the corner? Like he felt like he was going to fall down. No, the car's stuck in the corner. I'm curious that first time going down the backstretch if that applied to either of you.
I at the end of Daytona, I can remember going down the back chute, and I was passing the jets up. I was over looking at the jets at the runway there, parallel to the back chute. I was passing the jets up. I couldn't believe it.
That's awesome. How about you, Matt? You felt like you were going to fall off in the corners?
I'll be honest with you. The first time at Daytona, I was thinking about that quote driving off in there. And I'll be honest with you. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The thing that really blew my mind my first time at Daytona was the amount of vertical G's, like setting down into the corner as I thought, as the G's were picking up as you were kind of easing into the banking and the car was settling. I'm like, okay, okay, okay. And the time I got to the center, I'm like, whoa, okay. This is a lot of G's. So that was pretty cool. But I'll be honest with you, Talladega is big enough and wide enough that it didn't feel as severe as Daytona, but it was still like you're looking at the wall. It's like, man, I'm going pretty quick, and I can remember going through the center of the corner during the race and looking up at the wall for a brief second and thinking, man, we're going pretty fast. That would hurt pretty bad to hit that, and then I stopped thinking about that and we kept rolling. So
So I want to take the aircraft too
yeah.
far away from the airport here, Matt, and won't land the plane. But when you're there at Daytona and you said you're feeling the vertical G-force, like I guess explain to me, right, who's never been at those high speeds, and for our listeners, where exactly are you feeling that the most? Is that more like just across the entire body in certain parts of the body? What does that truly feel like?
Well, I've been fortunate to do a lot of racing, mostly in dwarf cars and a little bit in the ARCA stuff, obviously, but mostly at shorter tracks like flatter tracks. A few places with vertical load. I remember my first time at Kansas, it really surprised me too. I was like, man, this is a crazy feeling, going through the corner and having more vertical load versus lateral, where the G's are kind of pulling you outside the right side of the car, whereas Talladega or Kansas or these other tracks that are more banked feels like you're kind of getting set down in the seat further. So just yeah, if you can sit down in a seat and pull yourself down further, that's kind of what it feels like. I feel like it's pretty interesting, but it was kind of the whole weight of your body too. Something else.
Have you been to Bristol?
Been to Bristol?
Yeah.
Have not. I've not had the fortunate experience of Bristol yet, but I hear it's up there.
Well, it's number one. I mean, get fighters in a gymnasium. I mean, the G-forces there going in the corner. I don't care how tight your belts are; they loosen up.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal.
There's no place like Bristol.
That's why Larry Mack says you got to pull them tight one more time.
Yeah. I mean, it's an amazing place. You go around there in 14, 15 seconds. You don't even use, I mean, a lot of people think you use brakes there. You don't even use brakes there. You just come off the gas a little bit and you're right back in it because the banking turns you. The other weird thing about Bristol, once you go there, is when you're in the banking, you're trying to look through the roof, see what's happening. Like if you're in turn 3, you can't see what's going on in turn 4 because the roof's in the way. Think about that.
Well, actually, it kind of felt like that a little bit at Talladega for me, even. I had a brand new helmet and I had a visor on the helmet. I went into the corner at Talladega and I was like, I couldn't see much past the visor. And when I'm sitting there still, just in pit road or whatever, I could see forever. I'm like, oh, no problem. Didn't even think about it. I go off into the corner. I'm like, holy smokes, I got to open up this visor so I can see up the banking. And so I can only imagine with Bristol being as short as it is that, man, that's got to be even. I mean, I can't even imagine. Be going so fast and you can't see anything.
There's nothing like Bristol.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's the most physical track in the whole series.
Absolutely. Norm, we're going to move on to our headlines in the sport. We want you to chime in on everything going on. And Dom, we have some driver movement, don't we?
We have a lot of driver movement going. Well, not a lot, but we know as of this week that Justin Haley will not be returning to Spire Motorsports. Spire Motorsports announced on Tuesday, October 14th, they are parting ways with Justin Haley effective at the end of the year. So the number 7 vehicle will be vacated in the NASCAR Cup Series. Justin Haley, Spire Motorsports have a deep, long-running history. To date, Spire's only Cup win came with Justin Haley at Daytona in that range-shortened event in the summer of 2019. And Haley had spent sporadic part-time schedules with the team through 2021 from 2019, and then returned to the team at the end of last year, is running the full season this year, and will be a free agent at the end of 2026.
Norm, let's start with you. Justin, he's a talented race car driver. We've seen him run up front. We've seen him have his struggles too. And whether it's been bouncing around with Spire or Rick Ware Racing or Colleague, he just hasn't found his footing, hasn't found a place to call home long term. What do you think about where Justin's at and where he could potentially go from here?
Yeah, the thing is, he he doesn't get a lot of attention on the racetrack. He's not been real competitive, and uh, that's just what the owners have to do. I mean, they don't, if they're not competitive, they're going to lose their sponsors, and they have to find somebody that can make the thing go faster. But I mean, I don't personally know Haley, but I mean, anybody that's out there is a good driver. There are no bad ones, but uh, just maybe it's the combination with him and the crew chief, or it could be a lot of different things that that's the reason it's not clicking. You've heard that many times. Drivers, I mean, they hook up with the right crew chief, and all of a sudden they're a good race car driver. So it's not just the team thing. It all has to be the equipment, the people, sponsors, the owner. It's not just one person.
Dom, I don't know what you've heard from your sources or who you're potentially talking to, but what do you think could be next for Justin Haley, and where do you think the Spire crew goes from here?
So I don't have any sources on it just yet, but one thing I feel like I've heard other reporters talk about, i.e. Bob Pockrass, I believe Jordan Bianchi, that Daniel Suarez would be the leading candidate for this number 7 car, and Justin Haley potentially a return to colleague racing. I will say, Tyler, maybe he isn't the best on the racetrack, relatively speaking, hasn't been competitive, but I think that goes to show if he makes a return to colleague racing, that would be the second team that he's had another tenure with, and I think that shows that this sport is really big on relationships, and you don't want to burn the bridges that you have set up. And I would show that Justin Haley, if that does happen, really is good at maintaining the relationships that he does have.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the decision when he initially announced he was leaving colleague to Rick Ware a couple years ago kind of caught colleague racing off guard at the time of that announcement. So the fact that he's been able to maintain things, and there was that trade that went on a couple years ago where he got traded for Corey LaJoie at the end of the season. That he's saying the right things. He's carrying himself well.
Mm-hmm.
Matt, whether it's going back to college or wherever it may be, that's a guy that I feel like needs a confidence boost. It kind of reminds me of Cole Custer a couple years ago, where, yes, we saw Cole Custer win the Cup Series. We saw him make the playoffs, but then he went back to the Xfinity Series, won a championship, won a lot more races, got his confidence back up, then came back to the Cup Series. For Justin Haley, we mentioned colleague racing. Maybe it's not at the Cup level. Maybe it's on the Xfinity side. Like I want to see this guy just get that confidence back. He's never been a confident guy, it seems. I think the Xfinity Series wouldn't be a bad option for him to start winning races again and do his thing that way. What do you think would be the best path forward for him?
I definitely don't disagree with what you're saying there with him going down and needing a confidence boost because as a race car driver, most race car drivers know you're only as good as your last race, and yeah, it only takes one. So when you go through a series of a couple seasons now of performance that maybe you don't feel like is where it's needed to be, getting outrun by your teammates and whatnot. It kind of makes you question yourself. So I would definitely agree if he has the opportunity, which I'm sure he does. He's definitely a good enough driver, and I'm sure he has a lot of good relationships from his time, especially at Colleague and other places. But it would be a great thing for him to go back down and give it a shot.
Don, what else we got going on?
Yeah, another race, perhaps not on the racetrack, but in the ratings. Looking at the Las Vegas TV NASCAR ratings, USA Network got a 0.84 rating per Adam Stern at the Sports Business Journal. It's equivalent to about a 1.71 million viewership for the South Point 400. But what makes it even more interesting, Tyler, when you look at the overall ratings for the weekend, the NHRA on Fox ended up beating NASCAR's ratings with about 1.87 million viewers, which about 100 and some thousand difference in viewership. But NASCAR is usually top dog in this country in motorsports and in ratings, and perhaps a little bit of a bump there from NFL coverage. But nonetheless, the NHRA had the top motorsports the weekend, not NASCAR.
Matt, we've been talking about the ratings the last couple of weeks, how down they are, and what a concern that is. And what I've wondered, like, what's going to be the thing that catches NASCAR's attention where they're saying, "Oh shit," like this isn't good. And I know NHRA had a big lead in from the NFL. I get that. But still, it's the NHRA. They were showing this race on tape delay for half the country, might I add. And yet, it still did better than NASCAR with the lead in from Fox. Is this the red flag that maybe gets NASCAR's attention, you think?
I think the red flag should have been Gateway a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
to be quite frank with you. But um, no, this is definitely just another one. Another thing that, like we kind of talked about earlier, it's not really apples to apples, and there's definitely a couple factors, for the reason that this happened. But yeah, I think the red flag should have happened a few weeks ago, and this is just kind of adding to the pot.
Norm, from your perspective, when you're trying to sell the sponsors and try to put these race packages together, when TV ratings are down, I imagine that doesn't help.
No, no, it doesn't. And, I don't know what will fix it. It's not my forte, but the racing just has to get a little more exciting. And as you said earlier, there's a lot of follow the leader stuff going on, and people, a race is sometimes 4 hours. People are not going to sit there that long and watch people follow each other. I don't know what the answer is, but it's not as exciting as it used to be. That's for sure.
Dom, one silver lining I would say as we enter the home stretch of the season, network TV finally returns for these final three races on NBC.
Yes, forgive me if I'm mentioning this if I didn't already mention it, but this race being on USA Network with Vegas, the race last year for Vegas was on NBC. So yeah, there are a couple of things to kind of balance that. But here on out, the rest of the races are on cable TV, NBC races with Talladega, Martinsville, and of course Phoenix.
Yes, so that's very good news there. What else we got?
Looking ahead to this weekend, we have all three National Touring Series at Talladega, and that will be the case for the rest of the year. Talladega, Martinsville, and Phoenix, all three series in action at the racetrack. Of course, we look at the Yellowwood 500, the NASCAR Cup Series pinnacle race for the weekend at Talladega. Ryan Blaney, a three-time winner at Talladega, is your opening odds-on favorite to win the race as of Tuesday, October 14th, with opening odds from the Caesars Sportsbook. Ryan Blaney's odds coming at plus 950 or 9.5 to 1. William Byron and Joey Logano each at a plus 1,000 or 10 to 1. Austin Cindric and Chase Elliott. Cindric, who won this race in the spring, and Elliott, the winner in 2022, both plus 1,200. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson plus 1,800. Kyle Busch and Bubba Wallace at plus 2,000. Chris Buescher and Denny Hamlin at plus 2,200. And Christopher Bell, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece at plus 2,500. Your longest shots here, because it's Talladega and anything can happen. Anthony Alfredo and Cody Ware at plus 250, or I'm sorry, 25,000 or 250 to 1. And Casey Mears and BJ McLeod both coming in at 500 to 1 or plus 50,000.
All right, Norm, let's start with you. Who's going to win the Cup race at Talladega this weekend?
Well, I'm pulling for Larson. I
Okay.
think he's going to win it.
Okay. So we got Kyle Larson says Norm. Uh, I'm I'm going to go with a guy that is on the outside looking in that has been good this season, and this seems right up his alley to clinch a spot. Give me William Byron in that 24 car to clinch a spot in the championship four and get it done at Talladega. Matt, who do you got?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm I'm with you, Norm. I love seeing the 5 car win. I've always been, a fan of the number 5, but I'm glad that for his sake, he's got a 35-point cushion because I don't know. I don't really think he's going to get his first plate win this weekend. So I'm sorry I can't agree with on that, but uh, and I could go with the favorite Ryan Blaney, but what would the fun in that be? So I'm gonna go with long shot. Let's just say Eric Jones.
Eric Jones. Okay. That would be something if Eric Jones got it done. How about you, Dom?
At the time of this taping, by the way, he's 40 to 1 or plus 4,000. So one of the longer shots there. I'm Tyler. I'm going to say, I guess someone who's maybe probably that mid range as well. He's never won on a super speedway, but the speed's been there all year. He's going to do what Martin Truex Jr. couldn't do in that 19 car, and that's win on a super speedway. Pencil in Chase Briscoe to win at Talladega Sunday.
Chase Briscoe. Okay, there we go. There's our picks for this week, and we'll see how it all ultimately plays out. Before we go, time for our mailbag segment. We asked you guys to submit questions to us each and every week by email, also on social media on X and Facebook. You can find us there and submit your questions to us, and we'll answer them each and every week. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our questions in the mailbag this week. First question comes from Casey, and Casey wants to know, Norm, what can you tell us about racing for Jerry O'Neill? Do you have any good Jerry O'Neill stories?
That's Joe O'Neill. That was my brother-in-law.
Yeah.
He owned the dirt semi-late that I drove on, in the beginning of my career. He also owned a figure eight car I won a championship with. But he was my brother-in-law. And he's still around.
You got any good stories about him?
Well, he he worked hard to get me the racetracks. I remember we used to work on that thing at his house in his garage, and he was a engineer for Westinghouse at the time, and he just was a huge race fan, and then met my sister, and they got married, and then pretty soon he was an owner.
So that worked out pretty good for you.
I mean, we went out the first year and won 14 out of 17 of the races we entered. So we had a pretty good deal going on.
That's great. Matt, along those same lines, I'll kind of refresh the question for you. Who kind of helped you get started in racing in your career, man?
Well, a lot of people. We've been very fortunate actually, because I don't have any kind of racing background in my family, so we had no idea what we were getting into when I was like, "Hey, I want to drive go-karts. I want to race." Um, but really, my dad's kind of been there with me and through a lot of just not a lot of the unknowns, and we learned pretty quick that it takes a lot of money, and we were like, well, we went the wrong direction here because yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of that. So, but like I said, we've had a lot of cool people on the mini cup side. Like Tim Phillips was one of the guys who actually gave me my first ever chance to drive for him, and we ended up winning the first time I ever got to drive for somebody else other than my own car. So that was really cool. Actually, down at Anderson Speedway back in like 2013, we started our Taco Bell tradition. As we moved up through mini cups, Kyle Trinkline is another guy I got to drive for. Um, he took our car all over the place, and we won an indoor race with him up at the Kellogg Arena. So that was really cool. And then once we got into dwarf cars, the Hoffmans kind of took me under their wing, and just so many amazing people who have kind of given me some opportunities, and obviously Andy Hillenberg now with opportunities in ARCA. So there's been a lot of people who have been very instrumental in making sure I get opportunities, and it's been really cool. Long-winded
Dom,
answer, I know, but I don't know
yeah,
how
that's
else to answer it.
great. Great answer. Dom, I guess it'd be different for us, like when it comes to our media careers. I think back to my mom and dad. My dad worked in radio. My mom was a writer, and it was kind of in my blood. And they helped me early on in my career. And I had, teachers that influenced me and gave me opportunities, and got an internship in high school and kind of went things from there. What about you? Who were some of the people that helped you early in your career to where you are now?
I guess similar to Matt's journey, I didn't really have anybody that had like a broadcast or journalism background. Come to find out years later that my grandfather on my mom's side he was a radio host on the side, on top of being a superintendent and a principal. So that was kind of cool to hear that he did that in town. And yeah, my grandpa Jerry, he's 84, so some good stories with that. But yeah, I think back to some teachers too in high school that I had a really great teacher, may she rest in peace, Miss Wanda Alexander, who would proofread my stories, early days of the racing experts, Tyler, and I'd get all her work done and I'd have my NASCAR stuff I was trying to write during the week as a junior in high school. And she'd be kind of my editor in chief and would really encourage me to keep on pushing along. Another name that you know too, Tyler, Franklin Romero, was also a teacher in high school. He ended up becoming a colleague down the road and somebody I associate with, a photographer, sports guy, and he was big encouragement when I was in high school too. So those are some names that come to mind. David Swope took me under his wing at ESPN Radio Albuquerque. I'm very thankful for Mike Anderson at KOB TV. There's been some really great people along the way that I've been able to learn bits and pieces about this industry and just kind of try to shape it into my own experience.
Next question in the mailbag. This comes from Ed, and Ed wants to know, Norm, if you win Friday, would you call it quits and retire a winner in your final race? Would you go out on top?
No, I'd go to Daytona and try and win there.
I love it.
And I said it earlier, man. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh man. And then
Well, you know,
you'd come back to Talladega again to try to repeat.
yeah, I might run 4 races a year, Talladega and Daytona, or 2 races a year, Daytona and Talladega.
I love it. Matt, if you ever win Daytona or Talladega, you might just hang it up.
I'll be out of money, so I have to hang it up. So yeah. I don't know. If I ever get there, man, if I ever have to worry about that problem, I'll be happy. So we'll see about that one.
Yeah, Dob, what is one thing you could do in your career where you would say that would be the pinnacle, and then I could be good to step away?
Yeah, see, I was thinking about that too, how that would kind of shape with the media side of things that we do. Man, I don't know if calling a big game or working with an athlete, what that might look like. But like where I thought of you, Tyler, would be like if you got to call the Super Bowl, whether it be for a radio broadcast or television or in some regards to that, that would probably be pinnacle and be done.
That would be pinnacle for me. But I'd be like Norm here. I'd want more of it.
I
Like,
love
let's
it.
do it again. I wouldn't be ready to step away.
Yeah, like for me, I think one of the I don't know if proud's the right word, but one of the coolest things I feel like I've gotten to do to this point was working with my childhood athlete hero and Jeff Bodine and his project and his book. And it's not one of those, for me, one of those one and done things. It only made that burning desire continue. I want to continue to do as many of those projects as possible. Like I'm nowhere near being done, even though for me, that's probably pinnacle right now. I feel like it's just continuing to set that bar higher and higher.
I love it. I want to work in the media into my 70s, even if I'm just part-time, just doing it for fun. Like this is something I want to do for a long time.
Yes.
So I'm not stepping away by any stretch of the imagination. We're inspired by you, Norm. We're going to keep on going as long as we can when we do this. Norm, tell us about the next few days. What's it look like getting ready for Talladega, and how can people connect with you to partner up, potentially get on that truck there at Talladega?
I'm one of the few guys that'll give his phone number out.
You did that in February, Norm. If you feel comfortable doing that again, feel free to share. How can people reach out?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you right now 412-600-2943. I know I'll get a lot of calls, but somebody's serious about it. They've potential of getting tremendous exposure. That's what I believe, and I showed that at Daytona in February. And I'd love to have a subscription with Joyce Julius because he's the one that kind of tracks every second of your exposure. I probably should have got a hold of her and found out, but I think it's a great opportunity for somebody to spend a reasonable amount of money and get huge exposure at Talladega.
That's awesome. Great chance there to partner with Norm. Hit him up and take advantage of this chance there at Talladega. Matt, what's the next few days look like for you, man?
Man, I'll tell you what, we're busy over here. We're moving a lot of things around and trying to figure out what's going on for next year still. So mostly work. I'll tell you, it's mostly work though. So we're gonna plan on that and hopefully win the lottery so we can go racing next year.
Hey, that'd be great. That'd be great. How about you, Dom?
I'll be at Talladega Superspeedway this week, and I'm looking forward to the action. It's going to be a very fun trio of races, and of course, looking forward to seeing how Norm does in the race on Friday there at Talladega. You, Tyler?
Well, first off, Dom, plug away. Tell people where they can see all your coverage from Talladega.
Yeah, I'll be working with the racingexperts.com, myself and Franklin Romero, the aforementioned photographer, and a lot of our work will be there on TRE, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, to cover all the racing action from the high banks of Talladega.
You and Frank, you're going to have to keep Frank out of trouble on Talladega Boulevard.
So he's never been. He was telling me he's looking forward to going to Talladega. I'm sure he knows about the boulevard. So yeah, what advice can you give me to keep him out of trouble?
Be his designated Dom.
I could be the DD, the designated Don.
Oh man, I am laying low this weekend. I'm sure I'll be doing some work, but just kind of hanging out, doing my thing. But it'll be all good. Norm, thanks again for joining us, and best of luck this weekend at Talladega, man.
Yeah, I hope to make y'all proud. I'm going to do my best, and hope I have a little bit of luck there, and have a good day.
Oh yeah, I just thought about it. The most important thing that we're all doing this weekend is watching Norm win the truck race, obviously.
I think in a perfect scenario, Tyler, it's a duel to the line because we're gonna have him on the show next week. JJ Ailey is our next guest, so we can kind of let the cat out of the bag there. JJ Ailey, Norm Benning drag race to the finish coming off turn 4.
I'm in.
Not out of the realm of possibility.
Maybe Norm and JJ are going to draft each other to the finish.
I like that. I think that there'd be some really good stuff there, Norm.
I'm here for it. That'd be fantastic. On that note, we'll put the checkered flag out on this edition of Let's Go Racing. Subscribe to the show. New episodes out each and every week. Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit the like button. We certainly would appreciate it. Leave us a 5-star review or don't leave us one at all. Hit us up on social media. Follow us on X, Facebook. Also, hit us up by email as well. And we'll see you right back here next week. For Norm Benning, Matt Kemp, Dominic Aragon, I'm Tyler Jones saying so long. This has been another edition of Let's Go Racing. We'll see you next week.